Okay, I'm here with Dennis A. Smith, and we're talking about his new novel, Black on Black. Okay, Dennis, why did you write Black on Black?
Well, it was three reasons. One was Hadea Pendleton murder after she came back from the Obama inauguration, the second inauguration. And there was another murder just like 7 to 9 days after that. There was a guy who's supposed to be part of the Latin Kings gang, and he was changing the diaper of his child, infant who wasn't but 7 or 9 days old. And supposedly they were trying to kill him and ended up killing the infant. And that was just a little too much for me. Where I worked in South Holland at the time, there were people who either knew this park where Hadea Pendleton had been killed, or they grew up in that park, they knew of it. And so I wanted a first-hand account of what was their opinion on how to stop this violence. And I got every comment from, oh, it's drugs and gangs, you're never going to stop it, to if they want to kill somebody, the government should strap them on the suit and send them to Afghanistan. Yeah. But one of my coworkers, he made me angry when he said, well, man was meant to kill. And I've never been so mad where I really wanted to punch somebody, but I thought it was just really stupid, because to me he was saying that we're basically animals and we can't change our behavior. And so first I started writing songs about it. I'm a songwriter, so I thought I read like 2 or 3 songs. I ended up writing 30. And then odd thing happened was when I saw like a video of these songs, but it wasn't like a regular music video, it was more like a movie. And I thought, wow, that's a movie. I can't write a movie. It takes like 2 or 3 years to go to school and write a movie. But I ran into a book called How to Write a Screenplay in 21 Days, and I ended up buying this book at half-price bookstore. and like 6 weeks later, instead of looking at a DVD on a Sunday, I decided to read this book, and all these characters came alive. And I can say to the day, 21 days, I had written a screenplay, which I turned into a book.
Okay. I understand you want to use proceeds from Black on Black the movie and other Black on Black titles like the novel and the soundtrack to help victims of violent crime.
Yeah. For one, because I want to be a part of the solution, and I think everybody can be a part of the solution. And because the subject matter was, I became passionate of the subject matter because of these victims. And there were 2 things that I came up with the idea of that, because I remember 9/11, the victims of 9/11, nationally, people came together and gave them millions. Globally, people came together and gave them billions. And I thought it would be a great idea if victims of violent crime in the ghetto could have an organization that when you're like someone like a Hadea Pendleton, or like in the news I heard just a week or so ago, there was a girl who had gotten beaten, raped, and thrown in the snow, beaten unconscious. And that's just...
I saw that myself too, that she was only a few blocks or so from one of those so-called safe routes.
Yeah, that girl got shot. But this was another one. And that girl got shot and she lost her baby. I mean, there's just so much going on, you can't keep track of it. But my feeling is a child, a son or daughter in an urban family who is struck down like this, besides the emotional pain of losing that child to the family and the heartache of losing that child to the family, in my mind, that's a child that cannot take out the garbage. That's a child that won't be around to wash dishes. That's a child that can't be around to run errands or watch the house while a parent takes care of some business. I mean, the lasting effect of that, and just missing them and just not being in their space, or a child who could mentor a younger brother or sister. I mean, the loss is beyond just the physical person not being in the home anymore. It's a great loss. So my feeling was, if we could have an organization that helped these kids, I mean, to either to further education if they want to go to college, further education if they want to learn a trade like in plumbing, heating and air conditioning, or entrepreneurship. Just something to know that they're there. I know the people who experienced 9/11, when those checks started coming in from all those donors who had sympathized with their pain of those two buildings going down. You know, on average, I read that each one of those people from 9/11 got $3 million, you know, after that tragedy. You know, we've all heard stories of people doing foolish things with that money, but the majority of people who got that money, they have used it to good use and to further their lives and to keep their lives on track. Of course, I'm not saying that money is the answer to everything, but it can help ease the sorrow when, you know, bills are coming to the house, or, you know, besides your church being behind you, besides friends being behind you, it can be a way to bridge the pain and go forward with your life.
Okay, well, do you have any ideas to reduce gang violence?
First thing that comes to my mind is education. You know, I think of these kids with these guns, and they are kids. And I think of them as victims too, because whoever put a gun into their hand and said, you know, this is the answer to your problems, this is how you're going to get paid, you know, they made them a victim the day that they put that idea in their head. So, outside of education, Mayor Emanuel was made a comment as far as Chicago gang violence going down considerably this year or last year in 2013, and you know, because you know they strategically set out to give inner city people jobs at a time when gang violence typically spikes. So that was a great idea. You know, I think just having a great attitude about, you know, whatever my life is going to be about, it's not going to be about drugs and gangs. And you know there's different programs where people can go to talk to people who have been in jail. Counselors. I'm talking about street people.
Oh.
Who have been in jail, and I mean, as mentors, as you know, as mentors of people who have been in jail, or have people who have been in jail and been through it, and guide kids with a word of advice about, you know, you don't want to do this because it'll lead to jail or hell. You know, being, you know, having your reputation and your life being ruined.
Because they've lived through that. They've suffered those consequences.
Exactly.
Okay, some of the characters in your novel can be considered extreme, like Gutter, Trouble, Big Reel, and Mother Bell. Did you consider such characters might turn off your readers, especially with children in the same story?
No. I wanted to tell a real story. In the ghetto, in urban area, I grew up in the ghetto. So I know every ghetto has a Gutter, a Trouble, a Big Reel. And as far as the way the the way the characters speak. When I was young and in the ghetto, we spoke that way. So that's how I know these characters are real and will resonate as real with urban people who read them.
So you didn't think readers would be turned off by the language?
No,
Right.
I thought they would think this is how it really is. And I didn't want to sugarcoat anything, as you say. I didn't want to. All I wanted to tell was a real story. There was a lot of stuff, a lot of fluff I could have added. I said, no, I'm going to stick to a lean story. I'm going to tell exactly what the story is. I'm not trying to impress anybody. This is something I'm passionate about. I want to get an idea across, the good and the bad of these people, the good and the bad of the ghetto, the good and the bad of the circumstances we have to face every day in this life. And if you're trying to reach someone in an urban area, in a ghetto area, you better come real. You better talk right, or else you done lost your audience. You know.
Any of the characters based off people you actually met?
No, this is like I said earlier. Everybody in the ghetto has someone that they can relate to as a gutter or a trouble or even a big reel, a Mother Bell, or even a Portia. You know, there's angels and devils in the ghetto. There's the church and gospel music. There's hip hop and rap. There's gangster rap. That's why you have hip hop songs in this in the text of the book itself. You have gospel songs in the text of the book itself. You have gangster rap songs in the text of the book itself, because it's complicated. You know, you've got a section of people who say, oh, I'm hold on to my God. My God has the answer. Put God first. God, with God you can do everything. There are other people that have not been reached by God and who are godless, and don't come in my face with that, is what they'll tell you. And, you know, there's other people who are in the middle. It's just like the only call on God is if they've been shot, if there's someone who they love been shot or hurt. You know, the pain isn't real until the pain is theirs. You know, until it's been happening to somebody else, and that's fine. But when it happens to them, it hits home, and they have a tendency to run to their God. You know, whether that God is Jesus or Allah or Buddha or whoever it is.
Okay, in his sermon, Pastor James says everyone ought to inspire 1 million children in their lifetimes. Where'd you get that idea?
That's like a play on the 1 Million Man March that they did in Washington. But it was also a combination of thinking about Martin Luther King and his speech at the Lincoln Memorial. And it was just a disposition that you should always have a smile or something good to say to a child, to encourage them, to let them know that they're loved, let them know that they're respected, and that their thoughts matter, and help develop them to be strong, confident young adults. Because I always consider kids little men or little women. Because in a matter of time, that's exactly what they're going to be. And so they should grow up with the idea that their thoughts and their actions matter, and that they should
that even at their tender age, actions have consequences.
Not only that actions have consequences, but make the best decisions for your life, for your future.
Porsche, the main character in Black on Black,
Mm-hmm.
well, she comes off as, for lack of a better word, naive at first, especially when dealing with the shady characters in your novel.
Mm-hmm.
How do you think she's learned and grown through her experiences and encounters with people like Mother Bell, Gutter, and Trouble? How do you think she's changed by the end of the story?
Yeah. Well, she's been through hell, right?
Well, no spoilers, please.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is, you can be naive, and a lot of people have the disposition. I will give everybody the benefit of the doubt, a chance to show me who they really are. And I think through her experiences from the beginning of the story to the end, is that she has learned different types of characteristics, different type of characteristics in people, that she can make a judgment of her own, as far as if this person is a decent person, or if they're kind of shady, or should I completely trust them or not. And she has learned to be a judge of character and instinct to decide whether someone is worthy of trusting or not.
The language throughout the book is raw, but honest, even when it's the children that's speaking.
Yeah.
Did you think such graphic language was necessary to tell this story?
Yeah, absolutely. Because like I said, we're in the ghetto. When I lived in the ghetto, I talked that way as kids. We talked that way as kids. And, we didn't talk that way around our parents, because, you get slapped in the mouth. But around us, of course, that's how we talk. And we didn't know any better. We didn't know anything other than to be real to each other. So, like I said, the story I'm trying to reach is people and kids in the urban areas. And I had to come real. I had to do, I had to tell a story that was real. And the story was more important to me in telling it real than what somebody would say, oh, he's got the kids cussing. And, well, kids cuss. Whether you will admit it or not, pick up their cell phones, look at their text, or you get all their smartphone, find out they're sexting, then you'll really be surprised. But like I said, they're young adults. They're just young adults in a young body, and they're just expressing themselves. And they should have the right to do that.
When little Jake's mother, Carla, apologizes to Portia and explains that to her that little Jake is a man and has nothing to prove, how'd you come up with the idea for that scene?
Yeah. Well, to me, there's all types of men and all types of women. There's men who can pick up a car. There's men who can engineer or calculate how much it would take to send a rocket to the moon. There are men who can make 12 babies. There are men who can write a poem that will send a room full of people to tears. That line came up because I wanted people to be comfortable in their own skin. Also in that same area of dialogue, she's just trying to get a hold of, and her son is right there, she's trying to basically tell him, you have nothing to prove, progress at your own pace. Now, years ago, at one of my old jobs, a guy had made the comment, every man at his own pace. That always stayed with me. That's every man at his own pace, every woman at her own pace. You don't have to, try and fit into a size 4 if you're a size 8, 9, 10, 12. Just be yourself. If you're 140 pounds, you don't have to try and lift 300 pounds. Just live and breathe at your own pace. And the best thing you can do for yourself is have self-confidence in your goals, and have goals, and strive to reach them, to impress yourself. It's basically an argument against peer pressure. and not falling for any okie doke that people want you to feel inferior about. I'll tell you, I never caught on to this saying that this person is out of my league, or this, or she's out of my league, or this class of people is out of my league. I think that's just stupid for people to fall for something like that. So it's all part of the thinking, I'm good as I am. And if I'm not good as I am, I'm going to forward my life in a way that is of my choosing, not because you think I'm less.
At different points in the story, different characters, like Big Real and Pastor James, used the phrase, man was meant to kill. You did mention that phrase before. That how the phrase ended up in the story?
Yeah, exactly. I haven't talked with a guy he doesn't know I wrote the book, but I will let him know. But that how he just ticked me off with that phrase. And I wanted it in the book because I wanted other people to debate it and talk about it and get back to me as far as how they feel about the phrase. Because like I said earlier, it's like somebody saying, we're basically animals and we don't have control of our behavior and we can't change. And it just made me so angry, And it also played on the idea that if that is your thinking, you're part of the problem. You're part of the apathy and people being used to this type of violence. Not only in Chicago, but New York, Washington, Fresno has a big problem, in California. Gary, next door to us, they've been murder capital of the nation, back and forth with Chicago for years, So, but we can change. That's what is the big thing. That just because things is not the way they always have to be. I'll give one big example. I never thought that people would ever stop people from smoking in buildings or on planes. How are you going to stop it? There's cigarettes everywhere. They're legal.
Yeah.
Cigarettes are legal. So, but, it was people stepping up and saying, no, this is not right. I'm not going to get cancer from your secondhand smoke. I'm not going to wreck my health because of your carelessness, because you want to kill yourself. And I never thought people would get cigarettes smoking banned in public areas. But, because people spoke up and were persistent and kept pointing out the value of the cause, it took a while to turn people's ideas around, but they did.
So you're thinking if people can stop smoking, they can stop shooting.
Excellent, yeah, exactly.
Okay. You're already making the effort to bring this story to film. Mm-hmm. There's a web link in the book, www.blackonblackthemovie.com, mm-hmm. where people can donate to support the development of Black on Black into a feature film, and where eventually pledgers will be able to obtain premiums from t-shirts and posters to a chance to see Black on Black before it reaches the theaters, mm-hmm. to even parts in the movie itself. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to wish you great luck with your crowdfunding efforts.
Thanks.
And do you have any other closing comments?
Just that you reminded me of a phrase, there's always a way. There's always a way, or what Genghis Khan said, we will find a way or we will make one.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Dennis,
You're welcome,
for taking the time. And good luck with your project.